All right. So, do what thou will. Nothing more, nothing less. Again, do your work and then step back. This is the only path to serenity. So, if you try to do more, you'll be tired. And if you don't do enough, you'll have parasites. So there's just the misplacement of the focus. So people that are trying to do more is the overcompensation. I guess you would say this is your overly acid people. The people that's not trying, that they're doing less are overly alkaline. They're too still, too stagnant. They have the parasites that are eating up this energy that they're just leaving stagnating. They're just letting this energy sit there and just be ambient. So then you have the people that are using, that are trying, because trying is dying. You got the people that are trying to use energy that isn't there. So those people are tired. Try and tired are, pretty similar. So nothing more, nothing less. Whenever you try to do more, you'll be tired. So that when you do need to do something, you'll be too tired to do something or say something when it's appropriate, because you're misappropriating the energy. It's all about the energy and alignment of energy. Then life is easy. So then, if you don't act when you should, then you'll have an abundance of energy when you shouldn't, and it'll get robbed, and you'll be robbed in different ways. So then you'll be overly alkaline, and then the culture will be robbed. The fungus will take over because you'll be overly alkaline, and then just overly stagnant. And so then you'll have a bunch of energy and won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to control it one way or another, whether it's you obese or whatever, or have a lot of money or whatever. You have a bunch of potential energy that you cannot metabolize. So that will be, you'll have a bunch of parasites within you and around you. So either way you'll probably have parasites though. Because the person that's trying to do more, their initial parasite is this mental parasite that they are not enough. So these people, they think that they don't have enough. That's their lack mentality. Then these people's egos think that they're too good to do something. So that's where you have your acid and alkaline, well, when it's to the detriment. So this is the bending of the bow of good and bad. So you move in harmony or you don't move. So you have the dark and light balance, the water to fire, or ice and fire, or fire and ice, and then heavy and light, however you want to look at it. And none is greater than the other one. They're both the same. You can't really, it's like you can't really separate the high waters from the low waters. Since the atmosphere is a less dense ocean, it's still ocean on top of ocean at the horizon. So it's still just ocean and atmosphere. It's still just all ocean. The whole thing is still ocean. So either way, that's just the reality of that. Either way, so you got this bow. The Tao is a bending of a bow. Life is constantly being bent within you. You only have so much energy or so much yin and yang that you can play with. The potential between life and death that you can play with in this moment. The inhale and the exhale. You have a certain kind of breathing pattern that gives you a certain kind of focus, a certain kind of posture, a certain frequency, because your frequency of breathing, your breathing pattern, that is determining your antenna. So that determines what you can receive. So that determines your spiritual government. So that determines your perception of life. So if you have a clear internal vision, that means you can see invisible, the invisible within the invisible. You can see the invisible, what is within you, the internal eye, the first eye, not the two eyes that look, the first eye that sees. So you can see the imageless Tao by looking within, because the Tao has no form, but it creates all forms. So it's nothing that you can do to try to create an image to say that's the Tao. It's unfathomable. Again, you can't be infinity. You can't define yourself. It is infinity. So you can't know it. And so you can only be it. You can only be infinity. You can only be the Tao. The Tao can only be realized. It's not something that can be known. Infinity is not to be known, is to be, you can just be it. You'll never know life. You only know it in hindsight. You know what not to do, and that shows you what to do, and then you do what you do naturally. That's what takes the course. That's what was gonna happen, whether with judgment or not. And if you just view it from that place, then you can make the small alterations each day by following the Tao of each day to change that memory when it comes back around, because it's the same memories repeating over and over again in a 70-year period. Over and over again, it's the same events happening from grandfather to grandson. It's the same events happening over and over again, and through the peering through sound, or through the ripples in the ether. When you have a sun, and the sun has a sun, and there's a sun, that's all happening in the. You make one move, and that creates the ripple. So you have one child that's already created all the other potential children. So that's your portal that you created. So these events continually, these events happen in these 70-year periods, and they are relative to the time, but it's the same events that happen. The same cosmic events keep happening, and it's the same memories until you make the small changes that make the alignments with all the bodies and all the periods to collapse all the lifetimes into one, and then you can graduate to another level of memories, another level of cosmic code to sort. But that's just a whole nother level of going within yourself. That's a whole nother level of changing the spiritual government. So with the spiritual government, again, since everything is reverberated from that silence, the closer you get to silence, the closer you get to truth. So that's why basic is pure, because it's closer to the silence. So you want to, as far as your spiritual government is concerned, affirmations are big. What you say controls is part of your, that's the echo. That's the double echo, because it's already coming from the silence, it's reverberated from the center, from the nothing, the silence, and it's going into, from silence to thought to being spoken. So it's an echo to echo to echo to echo, and then it's being said, and then now it's being heard. And so now it's already echoed several times. So whenever you say anything, that is your spiritual government coming down. That is the frequency that you tuned into, and you can't be attached to the thoughts that you have. They are not yours. You don't own them. You're listening. You're not thinking. You didn't produce them. You didn't produce anything. You just channel. It's all sharing. So there's no separation. So for me personally, I just did the breath work for hours and hours and hours to the Tao Te Ching and the Hua Hu Ching to get a totally different rewiring. And whatever you choose to do, whatever path, is no right or wrong Tao. That will create a contrast of separation. There is no separation. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, but for me personally, the Tao Te Ching liberated that energy, and it was so in the now and so real that installing it in me, in my cells, it only made me real and more in the now. So it's just a constant rewiring of the DNA and your response system to life itself, and you just constantly rewire and rebuild, and it's not something that happens. It happens overnight in a sense, because the ripple, but it's not. You can enjoy this process, because during these painful moments in the process, that's the most memorable, because it's out of the bliss. When you step out of the harmony, you observe the harmony from the pain. And the pain itself is still part of the greater harmony. It's just that while you're in it, you don't realize that you think you're off key, but it's still on key in the greater harmony. So you step off key, supposed off key, experience the pain or the disharmony to observe the harmony. So you step out of infinitude, experience with supposed boundary and being finite, to observe perfection from the supposed imperfect state, but it's just a degree of perfection, or perfection from a distorted angle. Because again, there's only one emotion. This is nothingness. You got one emotion, one thought, one emotion. Because again, emotion is just a thick thought. So you have one emotion, which is love. And every other emotion is a distortion of that. That's the further you get away from the center, from your reception. So your spiritual government is for a lot of people, again, people are running to ritual and religion because religion, it ties you back to something. But they don't realize that religion was the way out. That you were going from the oneness to goodness to morality to ritual. And ritual is the beginning of the chaos. That's the husk of true faith. So as people were falling from oneness, and they didn't want to just outright, they wanted to enjoy Z to A, they went and they went through this process of religion. Because as they lost themselves in negation is creation and they fragmented themselves, they kept tying themselves back with the religion to not totally lose themselves over, lifetimes or whatever however you want to look at it, or in one lifetime, to gradually not totally lose yourself. So you still got this one day of the week where you got your ritual that keeps you somewhat in line with something. So you don't know, it's unconscious. It's the beginning of chaos. This is where chaos starts. This is where chaos is boom, always, this is chaos out here. You know what I mean? In that sense. This is harmony and peace. So this is oneness. So, some are going this way and some are coming this way. Some are going out and giving the perspective of that and creating the mess, and others are cleaning up. And see, there's no separation because that which created the mess is what's cleaning up. There's no one hand wash the other. It's the same street, different sides. So there's no separation. So that's your process from A to Z. You enjoy coming from out of the chaos, out of the separation, into the oneness. You get your religion or whatever. Then you use your Tao Te Ching or whatever, and then you get from then your morality is naturally installed in you. Then your government has changed. So once you get to this state, because emotions take it takes a certain energy level to even house a certain emotion. So after you get more aligned, then you have different level of energy, then you reach a different level of government, different level of being. So from there, morality, then you make it to goodness, that you're just trying to be good. You're just trying to be good. And then from that point, after goodness, then you are the Tao, then you are just the oneness, and there is no separation, and then you are just the light, the leader, the torch, that is the constant circle, the center of the circle that is going constantly forever. Everything else is coming and going around it, being mortal, trying, while this is not trying. This is constant. This is immortality. This is the true identity. This is the life. All this other stuff, this is the glow. This is the body. This is opinions. This is desires. These is concepts. This is all the products. This is transient expressions of infinity. This is infinity. This is the true identity right here in the center of the circle. So there's a process of getting here. So you have to change your breathing pattern to get out of this static, this constant static that people are in, to get back into this center of the circle. You're going to change your breathing pattern so you can change your thought pattern so that the body can just follow that. So then you cleanse the water, you change the emotional pattern, the emotional knee-jerk reactions that you have installed, the emotional traumas, because people are flinching. It's emotional trauma, so that keeps you out, it takes you out of the now. So you can look at it like a lot of it is like a 7-year cleanse. For a lot of people, it's going to take 7 years for them to go from vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, from sebi to non-hybrid to raw, high sun, low fat, low cal, then more yoga, more liquid, more breath, and then just less dense and less dense. So that's vegetarian, vegan, then gluten-free vegan, sebi vegan, non-hybrid, with the herbs, more raw, more sun, low fat. Then you're not breaking ketosis as much because you don't want to play with the yin and the yang. You don't want to play with that seesaw. You want to stay at homeostasis. You want to stay at balance. You don't want to play with the seesaw, and you don't want to break ketosis. So you don't. I think at that point you just stay at low calorie. This is where I'm at least. It's just more breath than anything, more music, more expression. Like I've taken in. I fully developed. I've taken in life. Now I have to give back to life so that the process can continue and then continue to expand. So it's just waves of giving and taking, and then you no longer see separation. And then if you maintain presence throughout the process and stay at the center of the circle, never giving too much and never taking too much, just sharing. So that's it. It's all of a process of alignment with creation. That's really about it. And I'll leave my next video for that.